The new album, mate. It's like I've been listening to it. I didn't realize I'd been sent a link to the full one, so I've been cramming it over the last 12 hours or so. And it's like I would compare it. It's like the soundtrack of a spy movie that hasn't been written yet. Um, Vicissitude in particular has like movie chase scene written all over it. Have you considered doing some more work with movie scores at all? Because just quietly, I think a collaboration with you and like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross would go down like a house on
Wow. Well, thank you for the compliment. And to work with those guys, oh man, I look up to them. They are artists. At least Trent Reznor is an artist that I've looked up to ever since his Pretty Hate Machine album came out. And I remember seeing that video, Head Like a Hole.
five.
And I saw it I was in Europe and I was in the middle of this like a Slayer tour. And I felt like I was under this time machine, or not time machine. I said to myself, what rock have I been under? You know, why haven't I heard about this before? You know, well, I'm glad I did, because then I started venturing into, his catalog, and really enjoy his work. But I would love to dabble, a little more into soundtrack work. I did work on a documentary called Los Últimos Frikis, which is based on a metal band in Cuba trying to, survive the oppression of a communist regime. And so I worked on that a few years ago. And I've worked a little bit with Tyler Bates from 300. He's composer for 300 and Dawn of the Dead. Joseph Bishara from Insidious. I worked on Insidious 3 with him. I added some drums. Also, Christopher Young. So yeah, I mean, I've had a little experience, but hopefully that door will open and maybe I will get an opportunity someday.
Yeah, let's put it out in the universe, and we'll
Let's do
see
it.
what happens.
All right, you start over there. I'll start over here.
And I understand you mixed this album with your son.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Were there lots of proud dad moments, or was he just totally busting your balls?
No, there is a lot of proud dad moments, with all three of my kids. Jeremy for his management skills and his drumming and his piano abilities, and is very musical. David, my oldest, that helped me. I bought him his first M box, which is like Pro Tools little interface, and he started recording his brother's bands when he was a kid. He was like 17, 18 years old, because he was in front of the computer all the time playing World of Warcraft. I said, okay, since you could be in front of a computer, you need to learn some, you need to learn the trade. And so I taught him how to run that Pro Tools, and now he works for New Wave Entertainment, and they mix movie trailers. So anytime you see a movie trailer, the voices, the explosions, all the dynamics, everything. Well, he mixes all that stuff, and then my daughter, she's an artist and outdoor enthusiast. She climbs mountains. She goes down canyons on a rope. Dad, she sends me photographs. Dad, can you see? Look for me in this picture. And all I see is a cliff. I don't see anything. So I open up the picture. Oh shit! There she is. She's a little speck on the side of a mountain. I'm like, oh man. But it was a great experience working with Davey. He has really good ears. He knows the frequencies that are acceptable and the ones that clash, and he's able to, work his way through the software, and he does really well. Proud of him.
It created a really rich atmosphere on this album. Were you always, hang on, let me rephrase this. Was there ever a temptation to use a vocalist on this album, or were you kind of always set on letting the drums speak for themselves?
Let the drums speak. Yeah, I mean, there is a couple times I brought in a guitar, and that was just me. I heard something, and I felt there needs to be a guitar here. I don't know why, but it just jumped out as whatever it is that I had going on there. There was a resonant note just screaming at me to overdub a guitar. And so that was the only, that's to the extent that I used, any kind of strings or even vocals. I mean, I really wanted it just to be as minimal. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Okay. I wanted to be just predominantly drums. I wanted the drums to speak.
One of you had those you were talking about Nine Inch Nails before, and how someone will drop an album on you or something and it just changes your whole outlook. Well, I had a really great moment with that. Many years ago, a friend of mine brought over this album, and the artwork looked kind of like an anime cartoon. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And he puts on suspended animation and opened my mind to just an entire new kind of, freeform musical expression. Can you see Fantomas? Can you see yourself returning to the Fantomas fold and making more music in that sphere?
I would love to. I'm sure Patton gets a lot of nudges from a lot of people to bring that band back together. I'm ready. If he wants to bring that bad boy, back to the stage, oh my God, that would be explosive. And what a headline that would be. That project was the most, or that band was the most musical educational moment that I ever, if that makes sense, that I ever experienced. I learned so much from Patton. Everything, structure, ideas, instrumentation, the meticulous testing of different instruments or percussion, cymbals. Listen to this cymbal. Is this one okay? No, we need something a little darker. Hit this cymbal. No, let's try this one. Here, that one. This one's good. And just, it matters. It matters when you try to find the right instruments and for their tone or characteristic or personality. And he showed me how important that was. It wasn't just like, oh, just throw any cymbal up there. Oh, just throw any drum up there. No, it has to speak in the same language as what, the song is, requesting from that instrument, or it's calling. So there's just so much that went on to those albums. There's so much work for suspended animation. We would spend, when you listen to that music, we would spend like on just one little second, like 2 or 3 seconds of music. And you can't imagine how much information you can cram into 3 seconds of music. And we would work on certain parts for hours, 2.5 hours on 3 seconds of music. But it was because it had to be, tight, as a band. You had to make sure that you had to get the sticking correct. No, after I hit the cymbal, I have to go up here and grab a shaker and then go over here and grab something else, and it all had to make sense. and sound like if it was one motion rather than multiple. So there was just so much education that I got from working on Fantomas that I brought into my drum record as well.
I understand that you developed this album in lockdown, or at least it started the genesis in lockdown. Speaking of Mike, I remember him. I'm not going to obviously get into anyone's personal business, but he put out there that he had struggled. He had a harder time than most, I think, readjusting to life after the pandemic. How much contact did you have with him during those dark times, and were you in the position to provide support to him when it was time to rock and roll?
Yes. When it came time to show support, I was there 100%. I told the manager, said, hey, we have the possibility of doing this, but Patton doesn't know whether he wants to do it. What are your thoughts? And I told him, look, I'm here for Patton. If he wants to do it, I'm here. If he doesn't, I'm still here. Yeah. So it just didn't matter. I was fully supportive of him getting help and, prevailing through this, dark moment. And we all went through it, in one form or another. I remember at times feeling like pandemic is going to kill me, not by the virus, but because of the lack of movement. I've been used to playing on stage since I was 17, 18 years old. And for all that to stop, it took a toll on my body, because I was always like active and, and play on stage, going through airports, running here, running there, just constantly. And for that to stop was really difficult. So I can imagine what Patton went through. And, I'm happy, very happy and very proud of him that he's taken care of his health and he's doing a lot better. We did a tour in South America. He kicked fucking ass. And it's like he was on point, correcting us, being the conductor that he is, and
at one point fighting with a drone. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that.
Yes. Oh, that was great. Oh man. Yeah, come here. Oh, I love that.
Oh, me too. I'm a huge fan. I'd love to speak to him about that.
Yeah.
Mate, well, this is crazy to me because allegedly, according to Wikipedia, the man sitting in front of me right now is somehow 58 years old, despite the fact that you look like you're in your late 30s, you bastard. My question.
And no, what do you call it?
No bald spot.
No. Gray hairs, man. Yes. I got my grandmother's. She has this gene. She had this gene where your hair doesn't turn gray. I have a little bit, but it's not turning gray. I get no respect. Absolutely no respect. They don't ask me for wisdom. What are the wise words? Oh, don't ask him. He hasn't even, So, but, grateful. I'm grateful. And I'm really, I'm careful. I try to stay away from a lot of, drinking, which I enjoy. I still enjoy. I eat everything. But I'm really careful and try to maintain and, exercise, take my walks. And so, you just take it slow, man. Just take it slow.
I remember watching, some footage of you, and it would have been, I think, during one of your last 10 years in Slayer, and, seeing you slugging from a Red Bull while in the middle of it, because obviously the double bass workout that you used to get up to is pretty full on. How is your drumming, I guess, or how has it getting older maybe had an effect on your drumming? Like, do you find that, could you still play that earlier material, or has age kind of adjusted that?
No, I could still play it. I mean, I think I play music that's a little more difficult and challenging now than Slayer. You know, Slayer's music is machine-like. It's like a locomotive, just go, 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 you know? Now I'm playing that, but the songs have a lot more changes. You know, like Mr. Bungle's music, it's a little more complex than what Slayer's was. And some other thrash bands I played recently with, you know, the music is evolved to more complex, rather straightforward thrash. Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, totally fine. I don't have any issues with my wrist, elbows, shoulders, joints. Dude, I'm like, hope it continues, because I want to play until I'm 90, you know. I want them to take me from the wheelchair onto the throne, play like a fucking madman, and then back to the wheelchair, back to bed.
Well, you could even theoretically just have the wheelchair kind of parked up at the kit.
Dude,
I mean, hey,
brilliant idea. Yeah, but I have to remove the what do you call it?
the side
the armrest, the little armrest. I need a custom chair.
Speaking of the, you know, you're talking about the complexity of Bungle and stuff like that. One of my favorite drummers is Thomas Hart from Meshuggah. What were your impressions the first time you kind of heard the stuff that he was up to?
I was dumbfounded. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Trying to count it. I'm trying to like figure it out. And yeah, he's amazing. He's one of my favorites too. And you know, they just have a very they're very lucky to have, you know, created this entity. And I love the first album. I remember hearing Chaos Sphere, I think, was their first one.
Well, that was about 3 in, but yeah, Chaos Sphere was 98.
That was 3 in? Wow.
Yeah, their first big one was Destroyer Race Improved.
Okay. Yeah, so I came in Chaos Sphere. And then I think there's another one called yeah, which was more the lengthy ones, like one song. Yeah. Yeah, I love Thomas Hack. Sweet dude, amazing drummer. His whole band's amazing. So yeah, I agree. Don't disagree there.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what, like, you know, what maybe a 3 Slayer songs that you want to be remembered for, and then I found out that, of course, you've been asked that before. Something like Captives of Sin, Ghosts of War, and I think another one was mentioned was Beauty Through Order. So I want to do a slightly different one. Have you had any tracks from either from that band or from one of your many other projects that you kind of look back on and go, shit, I wish I could have another crack at that?
You know, that's a good question, but I think the way I would answer something like that is that the recording, the music that you hear, is a representation of me at that moment in time. To go back and change it, I think would be very disrespectful to the music, to the moment, to the history of the piece. So I think leaving it untouched is the way to go. There are some albums that lack in their production, but that's because the band was, you know, young. We didn't know better, and the engineers didn't know how to record a band like Slayer. You know, the album would definitely sound better re-recorded, but that album, let's say the very first Slayer album, you know, that album is a representation of the moment in time. So the challenges we had created the ambiance of that production, you know, the feeling of that body of work. So would I change it? No, I wouldn't. No matter how how bad it would be. I think even like, for example, the Misfits. You know, people have asked me, "Oh, you should re-record the drums on those songs." I wouldn't. You know, maybe on a live recording, you know, maybe a live performance, you know, but to re-record those songs in the studio, you would strip that body of work of its youthful essence, of its you know, it's almost like you can tell how naive the musicians were, you know, where they just didn't care. Hey, we got 4 hours. Let's record 10 songs. Okay, let's go. Banging them out. All right, we're done. You know, recorded, mixed, and mastered in under 4 hours because that's all they had. But that's what made that body of work so special. You know, so it's difficult. You know.
No worries. Dave, all right, mate, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And congratulations on the new album, mate.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And hopefully more to come.
No worries. Easy, mate. Have a great day.